Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Curcio with Curcio Consulting and wanted to go over some campaigns today and how to build them. Here's a little bit about me before we get started.
Matt Curcio has been selling real estate in New Jersey since 2001. He's been recognized as a top 10 individual team leader for RE/MAX multiple times. Matt was the first eXp Realty broker in New Jersey to receive the prestigious Icon Agent Award. Matt is recognized as an industry expert and continues to support agents in the real estate community by hosting trainings for realtors locally and across the country. Welcome to the show, and here's Matt Curcio.
All right, so that's a little bit about me. So I'm going to work on kvCore today through a friend of mine's account here, and I just wanted to break apart and kind of explain first what I'm going to do before I share the screen. So first, based on my experience, every agent should have, you can get as extensive as you want with campaigns, but in general, buyers and sellers should be followed up with only in 3 ways, either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. And that depends on how hot they are as a consumer, right? So what we're going to go through right now is just launching a campaign task for you, either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, for the consumers, buyers and sellers that you have in your databases or whatever. If somebody calls you as a buyer lead or a seller lead, you'll categorize them basically A, B, or C and follow up with them appropriately. So we're going to show basically how to do that, what to turn on so that every week you're getting reminded. And when I say reminded, basically what that means is if you're a hot buyer and I want to call you every week or I want to touch base with you every week, all I want from my software is to just be reminded, hey, touch base with Mr. Smith. It's been a week. Touch base with Mr. Smith. It's been another week, right, after that task landed. And then, what happens with realtors is we get a lot of leads and then we forget about somebody. And then you remember them a month later and they tell you they bought a house somewhere, at an open house or whatever, and you lost that consumer. And we could all blame the consumer for not calling us, but at the end of the day, you should have been following up. And that's where I've seen tons of deals lost over the years. And that's what this will avoid for you. So these are everybody who you're working with that are going to be closing on a house in the next 12 months, and rated A, B, or C. So let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So here is all right, cool. So this is kvCore. You log in, get to your dashboard. All right, and this is the first screen you'll see. Then you're going to come up here. Once it loads, sometimes it loads a little slow. And I'm going to build these super quick, guys. A quick template I have written out so I can just copy and paste the reminder tasks for buyer. So it's buyer weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly. And I'll show you how I just copy and paste along the way on this. So this is the best way to that I've found to have this, shortened so you spend a lot less time on building everything here. All right, so from here, you're going to go to Marketing Autopilot. Start a smart campaign. It's got to load up. All right. So these are the campaigns that are currently in the system, right? You should have, you have 23 here to pick from. If you're new to kvCore, they let you can just add these to your library, look at all the emails, texts, and calls that you have to make in the plans, and then pick whichever ones you like. These are simple ones that I like to add, and we're going to create them from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is create the campaign. And you can have these trigger off certain tasks. Now, I don't care to have these trigger off tasks unless you're an expert at using your CRM. That would be in more advanced training. So in general, I'm not going to have these go to a start trigger. These are going to be buyer, campaign name, simple. Next. Add new campaign. All right. Now I'm going to make all 3 campaigns real quick. No start trigger. Next. Buyer. Next. Campaign. And then monthly. I'll show you real quick. So this is what would happen if you wanted this to trigger when you transfer the lead from active or new lead to active, or move to a hashtag. If you hashtag the lead, hot buyer, it could trigger automatically so you don't have to click an extra button. I don't like doing that because there's times when you move somebody, or if you have anybody helping you in your database, they hit buttons and it launches things, and it can make you look not so professional in front of the consumers. And the reason I don't, properly spell this is because when you're looking at this through the mobile apps, you want as few text characters as possible so that nothing shuts off. So I'm going to turn these to on. We're going to be using I'll turn them all on. All right, so now they're available. So in here is where I would actually build the campaign itself. However, with kvCore, you have to build the templates first. Some other CRMs allow you to build the task and then make a quick task in the spot you're in. But what we have to do in here is go to the templates. And what I'm making is a simple reminder task that the agent is going to have in their dashboard on a daily basis. So these are the agent's tasks. So if the agent logs into their system every day, they're going to have a task here that says weekly reminder for Lori. You check it off. In all the businesses that I've seen, I don't care if you call them, text them, and email them. And I don't think you should have the software tell you it's time to call them, it's time to text them, it's time to email them. Along with, I don't think you should have the software texting them once a week, because if you say, if you text somebody every week and say, are there any new houses you want to see this weekend? Well, what if they just talked to you last night, right? So you don't want to look stupid in front of the consumers. So in this case, it just tells you should check with this person. If you spoke with them in the last couple of days, you check it off, and that's it. So in here, the template, we're going to add a task template. And here, we're simply going to add all the templates that we're going to use today. Okay, that's the weekly one. The reason I separated in this system, buyer or seller, is because you're not going to know. The whole goal of lead flow is to have enough leads in your system where your business is, doing very well. But what happens with that is after you have 50 leads, you're going to forget the conversations you've had with people, and you're going to forget the, if they're buyer or seller. So that's why in here, I'm marking them buyer or seller. You could set up a simple follow-up with this, weekly reminder to either client, and then in your notes, you would see that in the consumer. But I just like to tell myself, because in the task, it'll say buyer follow-up, Mr. Smith. You can text any houses you want to see, or seller follow-up, Mr. Smith. And hey, are you still considering moving in the next few months? And then I have also an end of campaign. So what happens is the campaign, each one we're going to set is going to end at a certain time. Okay, so for me, what I like to do, weekly follow-ups should be 90 days worth of tasks. Bi-weekly is 6 months worth of tasks, and monthly is 12 months. So that's how I rate a buyer, A, B, or C. They're going to buy a house in the next 90 days. So that's a consumer that's calling you every week saying, I want to see a house, and is ready to make an offer. Bi-weekly would be a little bit colder, where a consumer that says, yeah, if the right house pops up, we're ready to move by June, or the end of the year. And then monthly would be maybe a buyer that needs some credit repair for a few months, or just isn't hot at all, or is in a lease, right? And then you just have reminders to check in with them. And again, reminders doesn't mean you have to call them. You can email them, you can text them, and just check in. So at the end of the campaign, you got to be notified. All right, it's been 12 months. They didn't buy, launch something new, do another 12 months. Or same thing with weekly and bi-weekly. You might find out 3 weeks into the weekly campaign that the consumer isn't going to buy now. Now they're going to wait. Then you would switch them to a longer follow-up. All right, so now all the templates are done. And this is very simple, but I'm going to build it. I'm going to build 2 of them because we're going to turn them on. And so I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm not going to do the seller side because it's the same exact process, and you can figure that out. Now I'm going to show you how to clone a campaign, and we'll switch it to sellers. Okay. So here, this is the campaign. All right. Add the action. We want a task. And I'm going to copy my reminder over here. And then it's right here, weekly. So that's the template that we made, right? And all that's going to do is tell us weekly follow-up, which is here. So that's what's going to be in the task. And we want to mark that for 7 days from when I launched the plan. And then we're going to repeat this process until we have 6 months, right? So we're going to go past 180 days, counting by 7. And one little trick on kvCore is when you type in a date, you have to actually click on it. It won't let you type and hit enter. All right. So I'm not going to make you watch the rest of these because I can go back and add them later. But when I turn the plan on, I can modify the task and it'll add them. So basically here, I know that the end of the campaign is going to be, let me see, if I move that out to 180 days. So it's 182 days long will be my last task. And so at day 183, I want the end of campaign, and that is going to be end of campaign, launch a new follow-up series, and that days, and that is day 183. Okay. So that's the campaign. It's now turned on. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing for biweekly, and I'll show you what that looks like. Actually, hold on. I messed that up. That's supposed to be 90 days worth of tasks. So I'm going to fix that right now. It's going to be on day 92, actually. Weekly follow-up reminder. So this way we know when we edit it later, we stop around 90 days. Because you don't need to follow up with someone weekly for 6 months. Bi-weekly would be the 6 months. I want to edit this and then make this 91, 92. Update. All right, so that's the end. So I'll take day 49 out to 91. And again, same thing here. And then after this, I'm going to show you guys what happens to the consumer that gets turned on to the plan, and where it shows you what dates you're following up, and the tasks will appear on your daily workflow. And a couple tricks with working with different softwares. Some softwares allow your tasks to stack up. Some actually have a ending trigger, meaning and a recount. So you would do day 7 and then 7 days from when that task is completed. So each software is a little bit different if you're doing this on other CRMs. Well, I can actually leave that in here because I know that's going to be day 183. And this is going to be days. So the first one here is going to be day number 14. All right. So you guys get the hint. That's how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of this in a minute afterwards, but I'm going to show you what to do to the consumer. So hit the wrong button, and this thing is, of course, loading extra slow because we're recording. All right, so we got a couple names here. So in this case, we have Lori. And what we want is to go to campaigns. And in this case, we're going to turn off the new lead because she's actually working. And we are going to go to buyer weekly follow-up, add the campaign. So now, okay, these are, I'm going to delete this so it doesn't get in the way. All right, so now, as you can see here, January 27th, February 10th, February 17th, there's going to be a task put on the agent's follow-up plan here. So every day they log into their software, it's going to be, hey, here's a lead you have to follow up with. So let's do that again. On the next lead is Brian. And campaigns, add a campaign, and Brian is going to be bi-weekly. You're going to hit add. And then you just click here to verify the dates look right. Yep, perfect. And next. Backwards. And then we're going to do Maria. And campaigns, add a campaign, and bi-weekly, add. Double check it. Boom. I'm going to be reminded February 3rd to call them. Charles. All right. So we are doing the same thing for this guy. Bi-weekly, add. And that is it. So we're going to go in and now afterwards add the rest of the tasks to the campaign, and then it'll update it and tell it, all right, you actually have, 5 more follow-ups to do on these campaigns, and the system will fix that for this. So, but that's my recommended way to follow up. And any questions, feel free to reach out, request an appointment with me, follow up with me on curcioconsulting.com. And that's about it, guys. So I hope you learned something, and I hope this helps your business.